Brilliance Audio presents NVK by Temple Drake, performed by Stina Nielsen and Greg Chun.
It was close to midnight, and Zhang Guo Xing was thinking of going home. He was in a club on Fuzhou Road, 24 floors up, the Shanghai skyline in the window. There were private tables sealed off with scarlet ropes, and bottles of champagne in silver buckets. The DJ had been flown in from Brazil. Zhang's guests were the usual European businessmen. Most of them were middle-aged, and most were drunk. They would try to pick up the go-go dancers, aloof and graceful on their cubes, or the Russian models who were in town for photo shoots or runway shows, but they would almost certainly be unsuccessful. They would take taxis back to their hotels, wake up jet-lagged, dehydrated, and alone. Excusing himself, Zhang stood up and left the table. The walls in the bathroom were black, and the lighting was so dim that an attendant had to guide him to the urinal. Afterwards, as he washed his hands, a small man appeared beside him. The man was wearing a pale blue suit and white patent leather shoes. The suitcase he had with him was also pale blue. Looking straight ahead into the smoke glass mirror, he began to talk. "You think you have everything under control," he said. "But then something happens. Something you didn't see coming." Zhang looked sidelong at the man, but didn't speak. "Suddenly you're in a whole new world," the man went on. "Things have a different smell, a different taste." He bent close to the mirror and picked at his teeth, then smoothed his oily hair down flat. "All the familiar parameters are gone. You lose your bearings." He paused. "Fear rushes through you, like a gust of wind." Zhang was still looking at the man, his voice so eerily objective and detached, his head thrust forward like a turtle's, the suitcase on the floor next to his leg. "Did you just arrive?" Zhang asked, "or are you about to leave?" The man chuckled and nodded, as if this was exactly the question he had been expecting. Zhang took a towel from the attendant and dried his hands. When he glanced around, the man with the suitcase had disappeared. Dropping a towel into a basket, Zhang left the bathroom. Out in the corridor again, he looked both ways. There was no sign of the man. He shrugged, then moved back towards the main part of the club. His guests had forgotten all about him. Many were on the dance floor, their jackets undone or tossed aside, their faces wide and loose with alcohol. The music was louder than before, a constant pulse that pushed up through the soles of his shoes. He stood still, watching people dance. It was then that he noticed her, over by the bar. A light round her, a kind of shimmer. Something he could feel rather than see. He walked up to the bar and asked for a cognac. Now he was beside her. The effect was even stronger. Like standing beneath a pylon or next to an electric fence. The angle of her head had altered, and her eyes drifted across his face. He felt her intensity, and her indifference. Though she looked European, he decided to speak to her in his own language. "What kind of person brings a suitcase to a nightclub?" "You saw him too?" Her Chinese was unfaltering and almost without accent. "In the men's room, he spoke to me." "What did he say?" "It was strange. He was talking about the way your life can change in unexpected ways." "You don't actually know him, though?" "No." "What else did he say?" "Something about change being scary." "It was his suit that was scary." Zhang smiled. When he first walked up to her, she'd had her back to the bar, the points of both elbows resting on its gold surface. Now, though, she turned towards him. Her eyes were dark, almost black, but her hair was like a fall of light. "Your Chinese is excellent," he said. "Have you been in Shanghai long?" "I like learning languages. I've always been good at them." "How old are you?" "How old do you think?" He looked at her for several long seconds, and she met his gaze, unblinking.